Today I have another boombox, probably one of the last ones hopefully, although there's still a few around here I've got to finish off. It's a Panasonic RX-DS550, and I think this thing is actually meant to be working. It's obviously a newer 90s type one, single tape deck. Not sure what sort of mech that is, but probably a Panasonic, one of their own type ones, and CD player. Probably the same mech as all the other ones we looked at. I think most of these Panasonics had this pretty much the same CD mech in them. Interesting, it's got some Japanese or Asian writing there, as well as do not touch the lens in English, so I don't think this is a foreign model or anything. Maybe they just did that. Oh, that's right, we had some candle wax melted on it. I did wipe some of that off the top, I think, but it doesn't come off very easy, that stuff. Made in Singapore, and that's about all I can say about it. I haven't even checked the battery compartment. I must get in the habit of doing that before I even touch these things, but that seems to be alright. Power cord, I guess you can plug it in and see what it actually does, if anything, but it should be working, I think. Ugh. It wasn't working and now it started, is it? Have we got a dicky? Yeah, seemed to take a little while to boot up. That's only when I moved it a bit. Yeah, it does. It just does. That's weird, even when it's been charged up a bit. Turn it on, and finally it gets going. I guess it should be in the off position anyway. Oh, at least it's tuned in. Volume control scratchy, of course. Quite a loud box by the sound of it. And yeah, not too tinny and stuff. It's actually quite a solid sounding unit. Oh, I've got a little graphic equalizer there. Oh, we've got an X bass thing, so I guess it would have to be fairly solid if it's got something like that on it. Oh, not the best song for checking the bass on. Always the way though, when you want to test some feature, they put something on that's complete opposite of what you want. A little hesitant to read the disc, but yeah, we've got a table of contents. Yeah, certainly cranks out the sound for a boombox of this sort of plasticky thing. And always nice to hear some music off a CD rather than tape, because it always sounds a lot better. So I guess they probably had to beef up the speakers and the amps a bit in these things. Once they went CD, everything seems to be running there. Pinch roller and capstan are pretty dirty, but that seems to be going. I guess we should skip further up. See what it's like later. Oh, well, it's a pretty ugly looking thing in my opinion, but it actually sounds really good. So I guess that's something, but I'm not a fan of this sort of era of things. Just pretty horrible looking basically. But that's the way they went with everything. It's hard to believe that if it was considered modern, it's kind of like the 70s or something. It's hard to believe anyone ever liked it, but that's what they did. So go to off. Seems a bit low on that channel. Probably needs a good clean. They're definitely much lower on one channel. I don't think these look that dirty. They actually look spotlessly clean, but well, obviously there's been a muck to one end of it, but Can't always tell all these things, but could be something else out on there. But it looks like the belts have survived in this one, and looking at how dirty it is, maybe it's had a bit of use. Someone who had plenty of tapes in their collection or something and kept playing them. It's possible. Might even pop the covers off and just have a quick look, just see if we can see what date it was made. Might as well give the capstan a clean while I'm at it. Not that it'll make any difference to the sound probably, but you never know. But it is pretty dirty. Might as well give the pinch roller a quick clean, get any dust and stuff off it, because the tape's running across it and it may put some muck onto the tape. Yeah, definitely down on that channel a bit. I mean, it's there, but not sure there's anything you can even adjust in these things. But might as well have a quick look at it. I don't think I'll bother doing like a full resto on this thing or anything, but probably would have to give the CD player a little bit of a service. Oh, this speaker's got to come off. Well, that one doesn't. That's alright. Yep, one right under the battery cover, of course. What's it got written underneath here? License under one or more of the following patents, US patents. Well, there you go. Don't usually see that on the outside of things, I don't think. This takes 8 batteries, so I guess 12 volts. Just not surprising with a CD in it. That's the only hassle. I guess one thing you can say about cassette is you could run it off a lot less of a power source. And the problem with something like this is even though the cassette player could run off 6 volts or something, of course everything's been set up to run off 12 volts for the sake of the CD player. So sometimes the old simpler things do have some advantages. That, you know, you don't necessarily see on the surface, or you personally don't have any use for. Yeah, it's not like many people really have shacks off the grid and stuff like they used to, or go camping off the grid as much as they used to. And of course these days you just have your mobile phone or something with everything on it anyway. But that used to be a big consideration once upon a time, when you actually had to have physical mediums like tape and stuff. Does the volume have to come off? Whoop. The other one, the X base, comes off whether you want it to or not. And that needed a clean anyway. Yeah, some white stuff. It's only a bit of dust, I think. I thought it might have had something spilled on it. That's got some gooey stuff on it. Maybe some more candle wax. No, I don't know what that is. And of course it's got cobwebs and whatnot in there. Dust and cobwebs and whatever. Yeah, big square LEDs, you don't see them in many things these days. Or ever really. Some sort of AN chip maybe for the graphic equalizer. Right out, left out, ground, 8 volts, left in, right in, ground. Which would make exactly what you'd need to run a graphic equalizer and bass booster and volume pot. Bit of rust, quite a bit of rust in there by the look of it on top of the transformer. Is it the transformer? I think it's the transformer. So, interesting little mech. Very tiny little head in it. I doubt this is going to have any adjustments or anything, so unless the azimuth is out or something. How do you set it? Hey, there is a screw there, and what on earth goes on here? No idea, but we'll see if the motor's got a date on it and see what's going on in there, because like I say, the transformer which is behind this seems to be rather rusted. There's rust right the way around it in an interesting sort of shape. I guess the edges of that piece of metal corrode relatively easily. But yeah, no sign of any leaking batteries or anything, so it must be just some sort of humidity type. Oh, here we go, 17th of February 95. Yeah, it looks like a kind of 95 era thing. Really not a fan of the look of stuff of that era. They just sort of gave up making anything that looked very nice at all, really. Same with the televisions and stuff are all kind of similar styling. I mean, this would have been, what about the Philips GR1AX kind of chassis era, and they were horrible plasticky things. So I'm not sure, we've got a plastic capstan pulley at least with a metal shaft. Looks like there's actually clip-on bits there where you probably could have put a metal ring in there or something from the look of that. Maybe they had a more upmarket device they put this in, and they put a piece of metal in there to give it slightly better wow and flutter. And it's, what is it, an MSI 5C2L motor. Not sure what that is. Is that a Matsushita, Mabuchi, whatever. I don't know what that you'd think being Panasonic it would be Matsushita, but whether they still made motors at that stage. Yeah, which button is it, that one? Couldn't believe it, but it sounds fine. Unless it was, mate, it wasn't just the volume control playing up at the time, was it? I've got to give that volume control a clean anyway, but yeah, it's the levels on that sound fine now. Unbelievable. So unless the door's doing something. I think it was a track on the other side, was it? Yeah, it's typical of what happens to me. You pull it to bits and it works. So this looks like it's got sort of a lift up mech. You push it a bit and then it lifts itself up. So sort of semi soft touch type thing. I guess while I got it apart, I might as well clean the pinch roller. I guess I should really turn the power off, but I don't think there's any live mains or anything other than tucked in where that power board is next to the transformer, which is well behind everything here. So at least these things are normally low voltage in all the front stuff. Only mains going into the transformer. All the switching's done after that. And yeah, that capstan's still not right. Missed a bit of it. Head still doesn't look 100% clean on the outlet side. Yeah, very weird. But let's have the volume a clean. Now, do I need to bother? I probably should get rid of some of this dust around and more cobwebs. Dust around the eject switch on the CD. Ideally, the whole thing would be pulled to bits and cleaned. You can clean the laser from above, obviously. The fact it's playing so well, I don't think I'll really do much more on that. Looks like this originally had an option for a 5-band graphic equalizer. Hopefully the radio tuning hasn't moved because it's got one of these toothed dial cord things or pointers. So if you bump any of this, it gets out of whack with the gear here on the tuning cap. So it's something you always have to check if you repaired these for people, is make sure you hadn't moved anything and that the radio stations came up where they should be. And of course, I probably should put this on its back, power plug, because all these buttons, they fall down anyway by the look of it. Maybe they're worse on the back, but you've got to lift all them up as the front goes back on. And of course, I don't have enough fingers to do all of them at once. That's it. And yeah, that hole around these, particularly around that bass booster, wants to clean out because that is full of dust and muck. So let's see if the CD actually still works. Not the CD, the tape. While the thing's got its front on it, because it's possible there's some mechanical issue there. The door isn't sitting properly or something. Just give this thing a bit of a clean up while I can access some stuff. Not that I ever really want to look at it. It's kind of disappointing. The performance of these things was quite good at this point, but they look terrible. I could have built this into an 80s boombox style case. It would have been really cool. But would have obviously needed better speakers and stuff like these you had just for cassette and radio. Yeah, some sort of wax on there, I think. What was that damage? That's actually taken the coating. Only the coating's coming off. The more I rub it, the worse it gets, so that's no good. And just make sure everything still seems to work. Clean the rest of the muck off that knob. And same with the volume. And it's got something on there. I'm not sure if something's stuck to it or something's eaten into it, but not very good. They always seem to have something. Okay, put the power back in.
This is Pulse.
We've got a screw left over. Oh, that was the one in the battery compartment, I think. Right in the middle of the back. Why is this thing dropping in and out? Is it because I'm moving this player around? Oh, I probably pressed a button. Little piezo tweeters or whatever they got in there are surprisingly good. Actually puts out pretty good sound, this thing, for what it is. Looks very plasticky, but it actually sounds pretty good. Just guess I better check the AM.
Damien Williams sharing the...
Yeah, well. Wow. Don't know if it's because I've now got a bit of a wire antenna coming in here that isn't connected to this thing at the moment, but maybe that's radiating a bit of AM, but this is picking up heaps of stuff that you don't normally hear in here, so It's either a really good radio or maybe just having that wire sitting behind it there is enough to bring in more than usual. No idea what those other stations are.
It's EWAH. If you want to check out some more about them.
South Korea has democracy, a strong economy,
And how Australia is a global leader in the quantum future. Hear all 4 lectures every Sunday at 9:30 or via the ABC Listen app.
So it picks up well. And we'll give the
What would it take to survive?
tape another run with a door back on it.
I'm gonna have to
Yes,
change
fine.
this thing, so let's stop it for a second.
Okay, let's do it.
And I just popped that speaker grill out that was bent in. So that's another use of these little hook tools, is you can stick it through the hole in the grill and give it a pull. And I think it's slightly, it's not perfect, there's a little dented in bit there still I think, but generally once you pop that out you're risking pulling it back out as if you pull any more than that. But that's good enough I think. But yeah, quite a nice sounding little box. It's a shame it's such a ugly looking thing. Matter of taste I guess, but I'll give that a quick clean up and make it look a bit better. It is quite dirty and horrible, but, and you know, no silver dust caps in the speakers. They probably won't pulling apart. I might even pull one to bits just to have a look inside it, but they could do with a clean. Probably make a substantial difference to the look of the thing if I gave them a clean, but I don't think this top is going to come up real good. There's, like I say, some sort of candle wax or something all over that speaker, and that stuff, once it gets into that textured plastic, very hard to get rid of. Probably should turn the power off I guess, so I'm not pressing every button on the unit. But got to go through and give it a bit of a clean. Get it back to its former glory a bit. But yeah, unfortunately something that was stuck to the front there, whatever it was when I peeled it off, has taken the paint with it. And yeah, a few things aren't coming off. Luckily a lot of the dirt doesn't always show up that badly on this sort of black plastic. Maybe that's why they went with this stuff, but yeah, I just can't really find anything to like about the look of that thing. I guess we should do the usual speaker teardown. That's got some sort of white stuff on it as well. Maybe get this thing unplugged. Just to be safe, even though the boombox is off, that could probably do with a bit of a clean as well. I'm not sure it's going to come up 100% either. If we can get the muck out of the joint while it's apart, and then it's got some more, that looks in there, so I can feel it soft, more wax on there. So I'm not sure if there's something will dissolve wax off that doesn't dissolve plastic, but I don't think I've ever found a really good way of getting wax off things. Trying to remember, I know you'd see it on things from time to time. That tweeter hole really wants cleaning out, but I don't know. I doubt the tweeter's going to come out from the other side. It actually looks a bit rusted or corroded or something. I'm not sure if pizzos are on a steel plate or... I wouldn't be surprised if they are, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's light rust that thing's gone on it. It could just be some sort of other corrosion of the coating. But they do actually sound amazingly good. The high frequencies coming out of this thing are quite impressive, even on tape. So I guess, you know, between sort of 85 and 95, the technology should have improved a bit. Even when it comes to making pizzos and cheapo sort of speakers like that. Yeah, just cleaning the dust caps on these. We'll clean out that slot a bit too. And cleaning around the woofer should make a nice difference. What are they? 2.7 ohms. So that was the other thing they definitely did. That's why it's probably got 12 volt power supply so they can crank it up pretty loud and run some low impedance speakers to get some extra volume. And 6 screws in the box, that's another good sign. Even though you can hear how plasticky it is. It is at least held together to stop it vibrating. I suspect these cables may have been cut down because they're not very long, but maybe that's all they gave you. Oh God, I can't get into the screws. Always have trouble with these more modern screws. You just got to look at it usually. As soon as you look at it, you've got it. Even though you can't see a thing down there, or the screwdriver's in there. I think it's a case of just getting the head of the screwdriver lined up roughly, and that still didn't work. Felt like it went in. Come on, what are you doing? I've never seen such. Usually they just fall in there. Oh man, that does not want to go in. There it is. Something loose in there. What's that? Ugh, dead spider, or spider skin, I guess. It's probably just shedded his skin in there, or shed his skin in there, and that rattly thing is a bit of millipede. Things you find in these things, but it's got a base vent on the, or port on the back, so that's why that's like that. And we've got 94, 95, 96, with 2 dots in 94 third box and 2 in 95. RKPX007 number 2 PS. With a type of plastic or something. Yeah, tiny little piezo just sort of melted in there. And as I said, it's a 2.7 ohm, only rated at 3 watts. The other thing I wouldn't mind trying to do is get the rest of that. I'd clean some of that other base port on the front out with the paper towel, but I couldn't get right in there, or not easily, without risking shoving it in right through or something. While I can get in there, see if I can get the last little bit clean. Need something thicker to put it in with, I think. It's getting there. Still a little bit of muck on that side. Don't think I'm getting the damp bit of the paper in there is the problem. That's got it. And this, I'm pretty sure the dust cap's pretty filthy. There's dust around the edges. And something white has been splattered on it, and something has run down it. So it's had a pretty hard life, like most of these ones seem to have had. And yeah, it's just got the black type shiny caps, but silver would have been a lot nicer, and just cheapo sort of cardboard looking cones. Admittedly, they may have been black when this thing was new. That's probably sun damage. The sun's faded it a bit. And look at the dust down there, my God. Like usual, they're absolutely filthy. Getting rid of that should make the box look a heap better. There's a bit down the bottom here is the other problem, and I think I did get a better paintbrush now, so hopefully that actually goes through there. Those other cheapo brushes aren't much good. You should be able to poke the brush and get it to go through and loosen that stuff off. And a bit of a blow and it should be gone. And that certainly improved it. And we've actually got some red paint or something on this thing, so I didn't even notice that before. Might try a bit of metho. Hopefully that's not because the black, it's got red under the black. I can't imagine it would, but I'd say it's been scraped on something. It seems to be disappearing. Yeah, there's only a couple of little dots left, so that got rid of that. Usually metho is good for eating paint off things. I thought I'd clean that. I could have sworn I did. It's looking dirty again. And the other thing I might just try that metho on is, can I do anything to very carefully try and get this white off the cone. Well, it's disappeared for now, but I'm sure that'll be back once it dries off. But these speakers do look really tacky, I must admit, with this sort of light cone. Like I say, a bit of paint on it would probably make it look a lot better. Sometimes you can even get one of those big marker pens or something and just go over it and blacken the whole thing. Lots of little pins there. But we'll let that dry out. Can't really do any more with it. But I am quite impressed with the quality of sound they managed to get out of this thing. Still hasn't dried out. I hope that's not going to leave a dark patch there. It shouldn't do. Once it's fully dried off. Dust everywhere in the bottom of this thing. Dust in the back hole. Oh. And while I can get access to it, I'll clean off this strip along here, although that's probably wax or something as well, because it doesn't seem to be coming off. Get that little lip along where the two bits of plastic join up, and I think that's where wax or something horrible. I think metho sort of melts it off a bit. Oh, there's wax all down the side here. How do you get wax on the side of the speaker? On top I can understand, but on the side I'm not even sure how you manage that. Pull a bit of wire in there, so I'll take a bit of that back out. Oh yeah, that big white bit's come back. The other ones haven't. Oh, have they? Slight bit. Oh yeah, no, the white stuff is still there. It's not as noticeable, I don't think. Maybe it's just because I put the cover back on. You can't see an awful lot of it through the grill, but I really don't like that sort of brown look of that speaker cone. But if you painted it black, you wouldn't even see a thing in there, really. So yeah, I don't know if that's what it's meant to look like. I'd have to see a picture of one when it's new, I guess. But yeah, either way, I can't really see that looking very good. You kind of want to make something out of the speakers. Maybe you could paint them yellow or something. That might make them stick out a bit. That's one thing these lack. There's absolutely no colour to them or anything. Other than a couple of LEDs, I guess. But I don't think the LCD even lit up on this thing, did it? They don't normally, so you don't even get a bit of colour light from that. No VU meters or anything. And filth all over those big things. There's absolutely nothing that isn't dirty on it. Yeah, that speaker there, a lot cleaner than the one over here. You can see all the dirt underneath it. So it's got even more brown looking stuff than this one. At least it's just got the brown paper cone. And yeah, definitely looks a lot better with that port cleaned out. That one's still dusty on the back part. Let's get some of that out of there. Can you get the transformer humming a bit in this thing? So yeah, it looks a bit better cleaned up, though there's still damage to that knob, scratches on the cassette door. And yeah, it's never going to be a look at this one, unfortunately. But just yeah, things like cleaning that speaker just make it look so much better than that dirty one. But I have to say, as far as sound quality goes, this is really up there. Even with that bigger Panasonic one, the speakers are surprisingly good sounding on this. So it goes to show something that looks like a bit of a plasticky cheapo box. At least it lives up to the Panasonic brand name and actually sounds pretty good. So that's always good to see, because these things used to cost more than your cheapo TX and Akai's and whatever. Now at this stage I'm not sure how much more expensive, but you really couldn't tell at this era. I think that's one of the problems with why I don't like this era, is you couldn't tell a cheap box and an expensive box look exactly the same. There's no sort of difference in the quality of the finish basically, but a lot of difference in the sound output. But pretty much anything on CD you could make sound reasonable. So, and again, FM radio as well was actually high quality if you could get good reception, which I can't hear. Although I did hook up the TV antenna with a second antenna to try and get some of the FM. But I do have a proper FM antenna that I used to have set up here back when I used to listen to the radio, something like old Hoagsy there on Triple J's 3 Hours of Power. Used to enjoy listening to a bit of that stuff. So, long before the internet was a thing basically, so I might set up the FM antenna again, see if I can get some better reception. You can't get ABC FM and stuff here very well because it ghosts. Basically all that distortion and stuff here on FM is ghosting, and it's a real multi-path area here. One of the VHF TV channels used to be terrible here, so I'm never going to get ABC FM right. I used to be able to get Triple J pretty good, and I think the commercial station's pretty good, so I might pull that one to bits as well and give it a clean. But other than that, it all seems to be running fine. And yeah, I don't know what was going on with that tape deck, whether it was just, like I say, maybe it was just the volume controller I had, it was a bit low on one side or something, or maybe there was some issue there and Pulling It to Bits fixed it. You never know with these things, but I doubt I'll ever play that tape again, so we'll probably never know. But anyway, that's another Boombox done, so thanks for watching.